Homan podcast time.
That's right. Binford Tools is proud to present a Santa Claus's podcast. My name is Adam. You all know my co-host, Jordan. Jordan, hi.
Hey, Adam.
I flubbed the first one, so I had to go slower the second time.
I was going to say it rapidly got slower toward the end there.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm looking out my window. The sun is setting.
Yes.
The mood is right.
Yes.
And it's time to start talking about the Santa Claus Season 2 as we wind down here. So it feels like the mood is right.
I gotta say, and I have to agree with you, the mood is also right here. Perhaps it's even more right here than at your place.
I don't think that's possible.
Okay, interesting. Put a pin in that. No, I was thinking earlier today how, this season of Santa Claus, I think we both would say that it's worse than the first season, correct?
I think we would.
Okay, but I think I've had more fun filming this, or podcasting about this season with you. I think it's been just a more enjoyable season.
Huh. Is it the Bronners that does it? I don't know.
Well, I'll put a pin in that because that might be coming back in a little bit too. I don't know, Jordan. It might just be. I don't know. I think I've shared more laughs this season, probably because the show is so awful, and I don't know. But
I think it's just you're happier because your lifestyle circumstances are getting better and better by the moment.
Yeah, hey, we'll hold off on that for another couple weeks, but yeah, sure, it'll be discussed, definitely. But we're not quite there.
How many things can I introduce right now that you're going to put a pin in?
Well, I'll be addressing them one by one in the coming weeks. But hey, episode 5 of 6 for Santa Claus Season 2, and I'm I don't know that I would want to watch another second of this show, but I will be sad to forego the regular podcasting.
It is true. I can't tell if it's gone by slow or fast, but here we are. I think at different moments it has one way or another. It's always worse editing than it is talking to you,
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to take your word for it.
Yeah, that's the truth.
I listened to our last episode, and I don't want to toot my own horn or our own horns. I thought that was some of our best work. That was really good. I
laughed quite a few times while
it was a really good one. I don't know what it was. We were just we
were like kind of losing it, so...
That is key. So I would expect this one to be, obviously not as polished because I couldn't even get through the introduction without kind of.
So that is a harbinger of bad things to come. But
getting goofy. On the topic of Christmas, hey, thanks for the Christmas card, Jordan.
Hey, it came already? That's good.
It came fast, yeah.
That USPS is working hard this time of year. I'm glad it got to the right address.
And I must compliment you on your sweater that you were wearing.
What sweater was I wearing?
It was like a tannish brown sweater.
Yeah,
nice.
the unfortunate thing about that is right away I shrunk it after that, and I was pretty upset.
So it went from like a small to an extra small?
I'll never tell.
Honestly, and then your son was wearing a nice sweater. Well, you guys share clothes anyways, I would imagine. So another
it all checks out. It was taken on the beautiful campus of Michigan State University.
Yes, Michigan State. I've heard of it.
And it was actually taken at the same place where I had my engagement pictures, so it was a real full circle moment.
It's a favorite spot for you, you might say.
You might say, yeah.
Well, Dar's got one from me this year, but I did enjoy getting yours.
Just seeing you the other week was enough for me.
It was enough, yeah. How's everything going with you? You got anything going on? Anything exciting? Life is good?
Life is good. We're getting to the Christmas season here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Potentially playing some basketball tonight.
Whoa.
Gonna be heading down to Florida a little bit around the Christmas season. Mm-hmm. So seeing some family, seeing some friends, and should be a good time.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, what about you?
I celebrated Christmas with my parents this last weekend because they're going to Greece to visit my sister. I am not going this year. Turns out you just can't financially go to Greece every Christmas and not...
It's a real shame.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Some of us can, Adam.
Right. Oh, that's true. It's weird that you don't, though. Anyways,
priorities. Your sister never invites me.
That's true. You guys have that feud. But anyways, of the myriad of gifts I got, Jordan, one of them was none other than a Homan Podcast sweatshirt.
Holy moly. Was that? You sent me a picture.
Yeah.
I was so startled. I didn't reply to you until you sent me another message the next day to remind me that I hadn't replied to you.
Yeah, and what did my follow-up say?
You felt a lot of shade, essentially.
A lot of disrespect, yeah.
I gotta say, when I first saw... I think I looked at the the message on my Apple Watch, and I just saw the text first, and it said something like,
don't say what that said, but yeah.
well, whatever it said. I
Sure.
thought I was going to see like a baby bump picture or something right after that, and then I saw the Hogan podcast picture. So it was quite.
Yeah, if Sam was sporting a baby bump with a Hohen podcast sweatshirt.
Well,
now I know what I'm gonna do.
My watch would have exploded.
Oh my gosh. Well, anyways, the sweatshirt. I really, as I get older, I have a harder time thinking of like gifts that I want from my parents. It's just I don't, just the way it goes. So I was really trying to think this year of things I would absolutely never purchase myself. And very quickly I came to the idea of Hohen podcast sweatshirt, and I gotta say. I got it in like I'd say just grayish, very comfortable, very high quality. I'd say worth the price. So get on over to Redbubble, listeners, and get your own because it's good stuff.
Are you gonna post that on Twitter so people can see?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
The picture of me or the picture of the like Redbubble.
Just you in the sweatshirt, like showing it up. I think when people see you wearing it, they're gonna
go right there.
Yeah, it's gonna go through the roof. I thought the logo looked pretty good on that scale.
I was always worried the logo was going to be too small on the sweatshirt. And when I say always worried, I mean like I thought about it once before I ordered it.
Just like something that kept you up all night.
Yeah. It's not. It's nice. So yeah, like I said, a moneyed guy like you. No reason why you shouldn't get your own. Maybe the whole Christmas card next year is everybody in Hohen podcast sweatshirts.
That is a good idea, and I wish you would have told. If you would have told me sooner, I might have put it on my Christmas list. But
they're not going anywhere. Much like this podcast, they'll linger on in the internet for years to come.
As long as I want to pay the monthly fee to keep it up there.
That's true. Yeah. Hey, thanks. Well, hey. There's one topic we've been kind of hitting on these Santa Claus's episodes, and I'm going to hit on it again. I was thinking, we've done, we've speculated on Bronner's in the first episode, and then, eventually you gave me a quiz. I went there. I don't know. There's just been different Bronner's kind of angles, and we've explored them with great fervor and zest, frankly.
Zest,
each one's, zest for sure. Mm-hmm. Each one's gotten more enjoyable than the last. I'm not saying that's going to happen with this one, but I tried to think, what haven't we thought about when it comes to Bronner's? And quickly I got to the thought of, are there any pictures of Tim Allen at Bronner's? Has he been to Bronner's? Is there a relationship there?
Wow. I cannot wait to find out the answer to this question after this commercial break.
Well, speaking of, that's a good segue. Honestly, I couldn't really find anything that indicated that he'd been there. I'm assuming he has. But the best thing I found was a February 1st, 2013 MLive article about a Pure Michigan ad that he had done the voiceover work for that featured Frankenmuth.
Oh.
Jordan. Yeah.
When I type in Tim Allen Bronner's into Google, the very first thing that comes up is no other than thehohenpodcast.com.
I noticed that. We're like, our episodes are like two of the things in the top 5, so that's pretty sweet SEO, Jordan.
Yeah. Nailed that one.
Nailed that one.
So, yeah, did you watch the Pure Michigan? I'm guessing it's this one that says worth the wait?
Yeah, 30 seconds long. I didn't watch it, but I read the article about it, so you tell me what's the difference. 30-second spot. It includes a Tim Allen voiceover. It premiered Thursday, January 31st at the Frankenmuth Chamber of Commerce and Convention and Visitors Bureau annual kickoff dinner. That's a mouthful. Mm-hmm. And it starts off with, time spent here is time spent together. And, this seemed like it was a big thing for the city of Frankenmuth. Lots of shots of Bronner's. And, back 10 years ago, 11 years ago, when they first did this, everybody was feeling pretty good about it.
As they should, truly.
Yeah. According to one of the spokespeople, it's a 30-second commercial, and 30 seconds goes by pretty fast. So online, you can enjoy it as many times as you want. And
I guess we will probably have to post a link to this in our show notes so everyone can enjoy it. So
that'll be a good chance for me to watch it as well. I felt like finding the article was good. I was like, I don't have the extra 30 seconds.
Good choice.
And then... yeah, that's good for now. In the topic of the holidays and, your Christmas card and loved ones, and
What else?
honestly, just like
Keep
all
going.
poles and Santa and elves and reindeer and Betty. In these trying times, I think we could all use a little bit of wisdom. So, Jordan, could you do me a friggin' big holiday favor and go ahead and cue those grunts?
Sure, it's all safe to me. Oh, ah! Oh no.
Now it's time for Bits of Wisdom. I want Scottish bodyguards. Ian and Ion and Ogre, dressed in kilts. Each would weigh 300 pounds, would go to functions, and these guys would say, "Aye! You gotta get back, laddie. Timmy's coming through." This has been your bit of wisdom.
I'd like to see that GD, or not GD, JD. I promise I can spell. Job description.
GD.
I'd love to see that job description on LinkedIn.
Tim Allen, Scottish bodyguards.
I gotta imagine there's not a lot of because he's asking for specific names, nationalities, and weights. So that's a
I
tough
think you could
role to
find
fill.
an Ian and an Ogar, but I think an Ion is going to be hard. That's probably where it gets a little unrealistic.
Yeah, well, if you're Tim Allen at that point, you kind of can dream.
That's true.
He's on top of the world.
That was, I think, like one of the most applicable real life bits of wisdom, because like we can all take that and kind of learn from it.
I think it was one of the ones that probably aged the best based on what you've told me.
Why do you think I chose it? I didn't read what was before or after it. You're welcome.
Perfect.
All right.
Well, with that, I think it's time to move on to episode 5 out of 6 of season 2.
Wow.
Betty. Betty. This one's written by none other than Emily Burdett and Haley Fraser. Written quite a few lately. Directed by Charles Randolph Wright, who did the... he did 2 last season. He directed 2 last season. He's going to do the final 2 of this season. And this episode aired November 29th, 2023. Day after my birthday. What a present they gave me.
Well, we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. Alternative titles, I have 3.
Say it. Five.
18?
One of them is so long that it's not even... It's barely a title. We should say this is the highest rated episode on IMDb this season. So,
Fair enough.
Out of 5, one of them had to be.
That's, yeah. Battle of the survival of the fittest. All right. Well, since you have quite a few, I'd like you to start.
Who is the Vest Santa?
Vest is very important in this episode. How about Scores of Lore?
Scores of Lore. Yeah, that's for sure. How about the Council of Legendary Cowards?
Shots fired. Taking him to task.
Talking
I like
to you,
it.
Sandman.
Yeah, who's the worst in that clan? Who do you think was like on the fence? Who do you think? Well, I guess
Clan.
we'll get there.
I have a feeling Cupid didn't offer a lot of help.
It seems like his arrows were pretty helpful. We'll get
That's
there.
true. We'll get there. Stop
Sorry,
trying. I know you're
I'm just
excited.
so excited.
I know.
All right. My next title is A Paused Clause.
That's pretty good.
Thank you.
That's pretty good. All right. This is sort of like high concept, I would say. So,
Some of your best are high concept.
someone dial 9 candy cane. Huh?
Yeah.
High
I'm gonna
concept.
start texting you that now.
Someone dial it. You
All
got any more?
right. My last one. A Ghost of Christmas Past.
And who's the ghost?
Well, they do a couple of... I mean, it's got to be Mad Santa. It's not an actual ghost.
I didn't
Come on,
remember.
man.
I didn't remember any ghosts in this one.
Come on.
Okay. Deleted scene, maybe. Okay, this is long. This is more of a tagline. This is more of a not anything. I've heard of making lemons into lemonade, but making the Easter Bunny into a lemon? That's just crazy.
It's actually just a stand-up one-liner.
I think it was the first one I wrote. Last one.
You have another one after that? You should have left that one to the end.
This is actually a good one. Battle of the Bulge.
Good.
Thank you.
All right. Well, the battle starts in Santopolis. Where else? Time of year? It seems like summer. I just don't know what's happening pacing wise, but it looks nice in Chicago. Chris is being interviewed by a real snarky reporter.
What's her deal?
I don't know, but she does mention we mentioned Miracle
They
on
didn't
Dead.
even title the episodes right.
Yeah. I don't know if this was like
Was this supposed to be in the last episode?
yeah, and like maybe like the editing had to change it or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. 'Cause yeah.
Seemed like it maybe. So she mentions that Santopolis was once voted saddest tour attraction in Illinois. Mm-hmm. We probably should have taken some time to think about the saddest tourist attraction in Michigan, but maybe next time. Maybe we'll ruminate on that for a bit. Maybe we'll come back to it.
I'm gonna write that down.
All right. Yeah, so Chris mentions that he got some help. She's basically saying, hey, Santopolis looks pretty good. He says, I got some help from Santa, and here he is. And, Mad Santa's doing his thing where he's just, boisterous and noisy and says a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And Betty, on her Cribble Crabble, sees, I don't know where she's at. She's
Looks
in
like
some
a hotel.
room.
Looks pretty rough, though, honestly. What's the Cribble Crabble budget? Must be small.
Pretty low. But I do see Noel's head floating in the background. So I guess it's better than her, like, sitting there smoking a cigarette and there's some, like, guy naked under the covers or something. That would have taken a turn. In a hotel like that, you could have expected it, but...
Yeah, it's hard because although Betty is, like, thousands of years old, I just don't know if that scene plays with the age of the actor necessarily.
You don't think so?
No. I felt like them saying The Miracle of Dead Creek Road, the episode after the one they titled that, was just kind of indicative of the whole show. Just felt like they really rushed through this whole thing.
Sums it all up in a nutshell, yeah. Maybe it sums it all up in a magic amulet, you could say. But this scene shows Betty's got to get back. No more Cribble Crabble. She's got bigger problems on her hands.
Seems like it's not that fun of a Cribble Crabble based on where she's staying.
I think it's more her fault than anybody else. Like Noel on a Cribble Crabble, you think he's having a good time?
It's like you can be miserable anywhere, I guess. It's a choice, right?
It is a choice.
Yeah.
It is a choice.
All right, North Pole. You got more?
No, go ahead.
You want to talk more about Cribble Crabble?
Always.
Cribble Crabble, more like Dribble Drabble. Scott's having a hard time because you remember he got hit by that
fireball
last
thing.
episode, and then he limped to the sleigh like an old man. I thought Tim Allen looked very orange in this scene. Did you notice that?
I did not. But I believe you.
It's probably the Oakleys I was wearing.
You watching this one in a coffee shop again?
Yeah, with my white Oakleys. Doctor comes at him with sort of a mallet, and there's a misery joke, which, as a Stephen King fan, I gotta write that down.
Yeah, I knew you were happy about that moment.
They're having trouble kind of reverting him back to his old Santa-like appearance. They mention a magic snowball, which is like more lore.
I guess that's what he threw.
Okay.
It seemed like a fireball to me.
I didn't see that it was snow. It just kind of looked like orange. So
Yeah.
So magic snowball is what turned him. There's a joke that I did like about where they ask about the doctor's credentials. That was kind of funny.
Okay. I guess I didn't write that one down. I mean, I like the idea of it, but I guess I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, well, you gotta take it where you can get them. Noel shows up. I was kind of thinking he hasn't really had a lot to do this year.
No,
Like,
just kind of
Betty's-
fret.
Yeah, Betty's barely like. Oh, I finally looked it up, and I guess they announced before the season that Betty was in like a recurring guest role. So that's that. Like she was never going to be in all these episodes.
Gotcha.
But Noel, he's been in every single one of them. But without her, I guess just not a lot to do. Just a thought.
No. They do mention earlier, like they're trying to get Scott back into his like Santa form, and it's not working because we're gonna get a lot of like logic in this episode of
a lot
how
of logic.
North Pole works. I guess when you use a Santa uses magic against another Santa, it's debilitating for both. So
I forgot. I had read that. Yeah, I forgot that. years
yeah,
ago.
that was in the show book. What do they call it? Show Bibles.
Yes.
They definitely have one. They need one for this show. I don't know that they have one.
I don't think that they think about anything beyond the episode they're doing.
I was just trying to think, like, okay, so this is another instance where now Mad Santa and regular Santa just have to, like, cool it for most of the episode. And, like,
true.
how many plot points or plot devices have they used where, like, everyone just has to stay in place because I don't have X, Y, and Z?
You're right. They're working really hard not to have this battle. Like, they're doing everything they can to not have these two meet up. Well, also, there's a thing later on where we'll get to it in a second, but where, like, Mad Santa, he still doesn't really have that much power either. So, like, this fight is going to be, like, two old men kind of, like, lightly shoving each other.
Yeah. They're going to mostly be bulging their bellies at each other, like a sumo wrestler match. That'd be good.
Bulge. This scene ends with Noel kind of spilling the beans a little bit on the history with Mad Santa, but ultimately it's not his story to tell, and Betty shows up right on cue.
Finally.
Yeah.
Then we get the intro, and Betty says, like you said, she's got to tell the story. And after she's done with the story, she's going to give in her resignation.
How many times is she going to quit or resign? At a certain point, they should just let her.
After this episode, I'm not sure they should. After the season, I'm not sure they should. Yeah. North Pole without Betty seems like a sad place.
If there's a third season, they're going to have to, like... She's not even that famous, but they would have to... It'd be like a dump truck full of money to get her to come back to this. I'm telling you.
Dump is the operative word.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a mention here that some say that, like, Mad Santa was the greatest of all time. And Tim Scott, whatever you want to call him, takes a little bit of offense to that. And
All Santas want to know where they rank.
Yeah. I thought it was a decent line before they move on to the next scene.
Yeah.
In that next scene, we're in Cal's room. And his dad mentioned, "Hey, go get your vest." And he's like, "Oh no, I lost the vest." Which
he didn't realize that till now.
I was gonna say, didn't he remember ripping it off and throwing it backward?
This kid's dumb.
Yeah, he's not the wisest. Sandra comes in as he's freaking out, and she tells him that Cal is connected to the vest.
What?
Yeah. So he can kind of see where the vest is.
Also, and he finally does, and it's like the most convenient time to see Mad Santa talk. It's like, it's such a like plot contrivance. It's his whole exposition is just like his plan. It's hilarious.
Yeah, he's recovering. He's got to find the magic amulet. He wants to destroy everyone and everything. It'd be funny if
it in great detail. There's like bullet points and then sub points, and yeah, it's really.
It would be funny if they would have done this and Mad Santa's just like sleeping or having some chestnuts or something.
You mean like a real joke? Yeah, that would be good. They might as well have had him like doing a PowerPoint of his plan for them.
That would have been actually really funny.
Oh, sorry, Mad Santa does prezzies.
Prezzies.
PowerPoint of the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else. Go ahead.
Yeah. Cal lies about it. Everybody lies about everything on this show just to like prolong conflict. But yeah, he wants to handle it on his own, I guess.
He does. And then he implores Sandra to go talk to La Befana.
For what purpose?
Make things right.
Yes. La Buffet with La Befana. For every scene that hasn't had Noel this season, there's been a lot more La Befana.
Do you like Noel or La Befana better? Better or better?
What was that last word? La Befana, I guess. But you're like, it's like asking me to choose the saw trap I want to die with,
How about we tell more of this Mad Santa story, huh?
Sure, Mad Santa.
We're going to get it chopped up into about 100 pieces in this episode.
Yes. It's really hard to tell, but we'll do our best. Mad Santa, he started out okay, but he began to crack. It was his idea to give Cole, or maybe the elves. The elves were just feeding him information, essentially. They're giving him bad ideas. They wanted to give Cole to the angry kids. There's a very quick flashback to a war, but then they cut away. We see Cal talking to the reindeer, which we're going to talk a little about reindeer in the pole section at the end of this episode.
Thank
so,
goodness.
Go ahead and put a pin in that. That's for
Yeah. Pin.
So Betty sought out the head elf to offer her services, but
Toots.
That was Toots?
Toots. And Bernard was like his second in waiting. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, they do mention Bernard a couple times, but he had already been banished by that point.
Yeah, it seems like he was like kidnapped or something. Anybody who crosses Mad Santa gets I don't know, put in a dungeon or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean his ultimate plan was to turn all children into nutcrackers. So
Yeah.
that ain't right.
That ain't right. Yeah, and then Scott is kind of like hearing all this. He realizes how mad Santa is and starts to lock down the North Pole. And
Yeah.
and then they kind of go back. Like basically, terror and fear were reigning in the North Pole until Betty, a nobody, as she describes herself, kind of stepped up to fill the void of the head elves that were kidnapped. So. Then we're going to cut away from the story because we got to go to Santopolis real quick.
You have to.
Don't have a choice. Mad Santa is finally ready for revenge.
I've heard this before.
Chris says,
the shitter get off the pot, man.
Chris says, hey, what about the show? I'm not sure what show he's mentioning, but he's
They, did
kind
show
of
us, they showed a stage a couple times.
Yeah, maybe that's what he was mentioning. He's more worried about Santopolis, as you can imagine. Back to the story.
Well, I would also like to bring up Olga's MAME list.
Oh, yes, very important MAME list. It was pretty long.
Seems like she's got a lot of enemies.
It does. As always, we knew that Olga was kind of poisoning the well, and she's doing it pretty well. So back to the story. Scott slowly getting his men.
She's poisoning the well pretty well.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that.
Not bad, not bad.
Scott's getting his magic back, so this story's taken quite some time. Betty
Not
went...
unlike Patrick Ewing in 1995 Space Jam when he touches a glowing basketball.
The first or the second time?
The second time.
I guess the first time it's not glowing.
He loses his power.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a
Have you
confusing
even
movie
seen
too.
this?
Did you see Space Jam 2?
You know I didn't. I'm not watching that crap. Did you?
I didn't.
That looks so bad. Oh, it's an algorithm? Cool. What isn't?
Oh, man. No, I did not. I did not see it.
You know my thought on Space Jam 2?
Space Jam Poo.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we get back to the story?
Sure, yeah. Scott's I don't really know what purpose this serves ultimately, but Scott does start to sort of gain the Santa-like features. First, it's a mustache. I guess it's so they can make mustache jokes.
Yeah, Colonel Sanders, things like that.
Betty has
like
some
that?
pretty sick references for someone who.
She's been on Cribble Crabble for a while.
Oh, that's true. See, no, that's you got to be like, well, I went to KFC on Cribble Crabble. You know,
I heard fried chicken and I came running.
Yeah, exactly.
So Betty,
Yeah.
during the I don't know, Mad Santa's reign, she goes to the legendary figures for help. They will not interfere.
Cowards.
They refuse to. Christmas Witch is there, and she kind of brings the news. So apparently, she was a legendary figure, which is very
Surprises
surprising.
everyone.
Surprises
including
everyone.
Scott.
Very surprised. He's confused even. She seems like she was kind of in on the plan and wanted to help, but was unable to. Betty tries to rally even with this bad news, but a lot of elves start abandoning ship. I don't know where they're going because it seems like they can't leave the North Pole, but they're out.
Is Gary wearing fake eyebrows throughout the entire show or just in the flashbacks? Because I really noticed him in the flashbacks.
Yeah, I think maybe only in the flashbacks, but
Wonder why. Like, what would the point of that have been?
I don't know. Hard to know. But yeah,
Gary's just, he's just making an actor's choice. You know?
yeah, he's trying to get into character. A little bit less Gary in this episode, and I think he did a little bit better for that. But we'll talk about some of that later.
Sandra meets La Befana.
Before that, very important plot point.
Oh, okay. All right.
Christmas Witch leaves a bag full of something.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
What could it be? We'll find out soon.
Yeah, to have almost not said that, like, kind of shameful. Sandra meets La
Kind of.
Befana. It's shameful. Sandra apologizes. Then they hug.
Yeah, but La Befana doesn't really know how to hug.
Yeah, she was not comfortable with that. Sort of like hugging you.
I am a very warm soul.
You're
Thank you very much.
You're a hugger. The Easter Bunny, they're trying to turn him back, or LaBeoufant has been working to turn him back. Some of these sentences I have to say when we do this show are like beyond stupid. like this one. The Easter Bunny got turned into a lemon. All right, well, there we are.
I thought it was an orange, personally.
Like you thought.
It looks like an orange to me.
Oh, I think it was a lemon.
We should go. We should go back and find out.
Well, my title doesn't say orange; it says lemon, so I guess that's what it has to be.
Orange? You glad it wasn't a lemon?
Yeah, that would have been good too. I would, if it was an orange, I'd have done that. Believe you me. This is another thing. There's a bye-bye bell that La Befana has that tells every time someone leaves this dang show. I tell you, that wasn't set up.
Who's leaving?
It's Cal.
Oh no!
We cut to Cal riding in the sleigh, and guess what? Not going so well.
I think he's kind of doing okay for. He's like constantly feigning otherwise, so.
Yeah, you're right. He's improving.
The bar's pretty low.
Bar is low.
Bar is low. Story time with Betty. A couple of days before Christmas, the elves decide to launch their plan. They're going to lure the gnomes away from Mad Santa. Okay. Key. Apparently, gnomes hate music, so they start playing some Christmas tunes.
It'd be funny if they chose like a musical artist to really alienate. They're like, turns out the gnomes hate Usher. That'd been good.
They would have known about Usher back in the Middle Ages.
I tell you what, those gnomes aren't watching the Super Bowl this year.
I'd say that. No. Betty tries to make a truce with the gnomes. Like, there's kind of a meeting of the minds here before the battle rages. Yeah. Gnomes are like, no way. We've got Mad Santa in our pocket. And so the battle is on.
Did you notice? I just wanted to pause here real quick. Did you notice that Olga didn't really have an accent in these old scenes?
Yeah, she developed that over time.
I mean, like, she doesn't have it, so it makes me think that they must have filmed this first, and then later on the accent kind of got added, because she's not using it really at all. I just thought that was interesting.
Interesting. Very interesting. The battle is on. I bet you're thinking this is going to be like a really long battle. Lots of blood, gore.
I thought it was going to be really long with lots of blood. You said it.
Yeah. Instead, we get a very short battle because that bag that the Christmas witch left was full of Cupid's arrows dipped in Sandman's sand, and it puts all the gnomes to sleep.
It's basically, isn't it? There's even more to it than that, though. It's got little bits and pieces from all the
Easter bunny eggs. They've got wind and lightning from Mother Nature. Like, we didn't see that because the budget wasn't enough, I guess. I don't know. But
there's a stink egg tied to the end of each one, so it smells like crap, you know?
Yeah, the egg's got to be like the least helpful thing of this plan, but whatever. Olga realizes that the elves' real plan was to get Mad Santa unprotected, so she goes to save Mad Santa, to save her power. That's what she's all about, Olga, you know?
Ogla, yes. They try to move the fight underground, Jordan.
Yeah, Olga does. She wants to get down there quick.
She wants to get down there. She's a gnome.
That's where she belongs. Mad Santa is retreating with Olga.
And I think this was the scene that we saw to start the series.
I think so. But it's not actually Olga, and we're going to find that out in a moment because Betty takes off the mask, and it's not who Mad Santa thinks it is. He's been duped. Mad Santa doesn't know her name. Noel takes offense. Mad Santa says one day you'll all pay. And this is where we get the Betty. They're spelling out her name.
It's powerful.
It's very powerful.
It's powerful, yeah.
There's power in your name. There's also power in a magic amulet that has been lost in the caves. So I guess we're going to end up in the caves again in a few moments. So, Mad Santa's not really afraid of the elves until the Christmas witch arrives.
Yeah, she's scarier.
Well, first we learn a legendary has no power against one of their own, which...
yes, of course. Well, of course, we knew that already. I mean, that's just been in the ether for a long time.
They're just spelling it out for everybody else. And then we learned that she turned in her resignation so she could trap him. So she traps him as a nutcracker. Here we are.
But just a lot of semantics with the legendary figures, just, you know...
Was that necessary? Probably not.
Yeah. Sorry, I guess it's like a hero's turn, but yeah. They kind of set her up as being a legendary figure like 2 minutes before she put in her resignation, so it's not like a real satisfying turn.
Not a real big payoff there. I guess it explains why she's at the North Pole, so they have to do that. Whatever. Like, it
I
wasn't
never
kinda
asked
worth it.
myself why La Befana was at the North Pole. That wasn't the question I was
Wasn't
asking.
something I was worried about.
No. Yeah, they like pretty quickly. She pretty quickly like takes care of him. The Christmas
Yeah,
witch.
she uses her magic. So
Olga runs too, and I guess do we really know where she ran to?
she like runs towards Santa and she's
she's on
trapped,
his
which is
back or
why
something.
when the Nutcracker is turned back into Mad Santa, she's there too. So well, this story took so long that now Scott's got his full powers back. So that's good. Back at Santopolis, Cal
I'll jump
runs
in, Jordan.
Please.
I'll jump in. You've done more than enough. I mean, you told that story. Honestly, it should have been you in the episode, not Betty. JORDAN.
If you look in the background, you'll see a small elf that looks a lot like me.
You'll see a guy who shrunk his sweater days after buying it. Cal meets Chris. A team up we didn't know we needed. I kind of like Cal's Santa varsity jacket. I don't know if you noticed it.
I didn't.
That's kind of cool.
That's going on your Christmas list?
Too late. I already got all my presents. I wanted a home podcast sweatshirt instead. Very quickly, Cal also meets Mad Santa. There's just a little bit of back and forth. This is where Chris calls 911, but when he starts describing the situation that he's in, they hang up. And that's why I say, dial 9, candy cane, candy cane.
Much more. They listen to your concerns.
Back to the North Pole.
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
They're planning something here that we don't get the payoff in this episode, but we're going to get it in the next episode. I'm sure of it.
Can you tell me what they're planning?
Cal mentions in the scene that Olga has a soft spot.
Ah, you are right. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yes. And she's not as quick to, jump down his throat, you might say. She's listening.
She's listening for a second, but then she's also like, shut up, I don't want to hear it. So
Yeah, but there is that pause.
there is that pause. So something's going to happen in the next episode.
Very well. Thanks for
Go on.
Again, to have almost skipped that. It's like,
Were you even watching the episode? You're spending more time on fashion and varsity jackets.
the listeners would have jumped down my throat.
I should say so.
Betty wants to resign for like the 1,000th time. Sandra tells the parents of Cal's departure. We're jumping around a lot here. Chris and Cal are like tied up along a wall.
Yeah,
I guess
duct tape
was
to
it
a
with
wall.
duct tape? Did we get some duct tape in the first movie?
We get tinsel.
Tinsel. That's what I'm thinking of. Couldn't they have done that? Not in the budget, I guess.
Well, it's not the North Pole, so that's the problem.
Cal gets turned into a toy, which about time.
Yeah,
About time he gets turned into a toy.
I think a nutcracker.
Okay, I thought, yeah, I mean that makes sense given his plan, but that wasn't when I saw it like my first thought. You know,
Yeah, he gets very small. That's all I
he
know.
looked like one of those like nesting dolls almost.
Yeah,
there's more.
that's not wrong, really.
Thank you.
You also you're skipping a lot of stuff. Real quick,
Tell that to my 2 pages of notes. All right.
this is very important.
Okay.
Last scene, Betty's done with her story. She's handing in her resignation. There's a very heartfelt moment here. What does Santa do with the clause? She has a clause on a business card, and it's handed to Santa. He rips it up and says, "You're not resigning. You're a hero."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot that.
You're gonna skip that.
Well, I think we've seen it before. Like, I feel like I've seen that happen 2 or 3 times.
What?
Like, in the first season, I feel like there was a very similar thing. Just a thought. And I went back and watched the first season yesterday. So
I don't believe you. All right, fine. Let's talk about the nesting doll Cal and wherever you were.
yeah, I already said it. But doing that pretty much drains Mad Santa. So again, like, this guy, I don't know if he has enough power to actually put up a fight.
Well, the problem was Cal had more Santa magic in him than he expected.
Again, Cal, is he going to be a good Santa or not? We don't know. It depends on the day.
Yeah, and with that, I mean, even though he's like drained of power, I think if he gets his magic amulet, everything is going to work out okay.
I'm hearing a lot about him getting this magic amulet, so I gotta believe it's important.
So they go get the sleigh, which Cal arrived in.
Yeah.
Cal, you're getting away the vest. You give away the sleigh.
I mean, he shouldn't have parked it right in front of the house. You know? It was a mistake.
He left the lights on and the engine running.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's funny.
Control room.
Keep going. I'm not going to say I didn't put forth an effort here, but I can tell I've had other things on my mind as I read these notes. Let's just leave it at that. And maybe that's a tease for next episode. But
that's fair.
Just lots going on.
All right, so we're real quickly in the control room. They're trying to shut down the vortexes. We get some more lore. They want to turn them back on.
Yeah.
Because Cal's still out there. But you can't, because if you mess it up, the North Pole will melt.
Right.
My goodness.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, the North Pole will melt. And that's a problem.
I'm global
I feel like
warming.
the North Pole, kind of just a fragile place if the film and the series is to be believed. Just kind of always on the precipice of extinction.
Mo magic, mo problems.
Indeed, yeah.
Final scene of this episode. We're at the letter center. You have any notes for that?
Yeah, I actually do. They're right at the very bottom. They're kind of hard to read. Santa wants to send himself through the letter system because...
Very risky.
He doesn't have the sleigh, and he already used... They kind of went like DEFCON Santa. They closed everything down. It's hard to get
Vortexes
up.
aren't open anymore.
A lot of vortexes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they did set up the letter room earlier in the season, so I guess it's not the first time we've been there or heard of it. But he's going to attempt to send himself and Carol through the mail. It's never been done before. Kind of like everything that happens on this show, it's never been done before. First time. But
It's
it always
very
seems to
risky.
work out.
I mean, it seems like they could die. They've definitely never sent people there.
Yeah. But they do it. They're successful.
We don't know that. Sandra and the Christmas Witch must stay behind to protect the North Pole. She's really moved by their trust here, Sandra is.
Yeah, what'd she expect? They don't have a choice.
Yeah. Well, they trust her, I guess. And Carol, did you notice she's got a Santa blaster?
Yeah. That was pretty good.
Well, here's the problem.
Go on.
As they go through the letter carrier thing, the blaster is left behind.
Doesn't go. Yeah, that is
So
a problem.
I guess Mad Santa's going to have a Santa blaster that he can pick up and use.
Yeah, you got to believe that Santa Blaster's going to come back in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, next episode, we're going to hear what Olga's soft spot is, and we're going to see a Santa blaster put to
And the
use.
next episode is actually called the Santa Blaster. Weirdly enough. I don't know what it's about. I did want to say, do you remember when Carol was going to be kind of like a detective with Gary this year?
Well, everything kind of fell apart when they learned what actually was going on.
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
Roll credits fade to black on BETTY, a.k.a. the Battle of the Bulge.
Battle of the Bulge.
Tell
Tell me your highs and lows.
Oh, man, yeah, you're going to punish me by making me go first.
Yeah, your notes weren't good enough, so you have to go first.
We're not good. Highs and lows. I liked the Misery reference.
Sure.
I suppose I've found La Befana to be a bit more winning this season. She's gotten some...
Season's not over yet either.
Gotten some action. She's only going to get more action. I am always happy to have Betty in the fold. Just a better caliber of actor, more competent. Just good to have her in an episode. I guess if you were to really... I don't think if she was in every episode this season with the storyline as is, I mean, I guess it would have had to have been changed, but I don't think she would have made this season infinitely better, but I do think her presence in every episode would have helped. Lows, they're doing everything in their power to put off this fight between the Santas. Like, it's crazy how just the different sort of plot mechanisms and different things they need, amulets and magic snowballs, and he doesn't have the vest, now he has the vest. Just a lot of plot contrivances to put it off, but they can't put it off any longer because it's the last episode. I do think it'll be kind of a whimper, the fight. I haven't really enjoyed much with the show at all, so it's all lows, and I'll leave it at that.
Perfect. I do. You mentioned this earlier. I do think this is probably the best episode that we've had this season.
Interesting.
Just a little, slightly more stakes and conflict coming here, but this
The
episode
fight stuff is okay, I guess.
Yeah, I mean the story was long,
Yeah.
and there's a lot going on, but I was glad to hear a little bit more of what was going on and understand a little bit more about what's going on. There were a couple lines I liked in this episode.
Which ones?
Don't ask me what they were,
Okay.
because I don't remember them now, but I remember them.
Yeah.
I think, like Betty says, like every Santa wants to know like where their rank or whatever and stuff like that, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, it's not a real great episode by any means. Like I wouldn't be super excited under any normal circumstances.
Yeah,
but,
definitely not.
I'm pretty excited to see this story close.
Yeah, not for the reason they want, but
It is truly amazing. Like, I think you said this last episode. I think if this was like an hour and a half, hour 45-minute movie, would be infinitely better.
yeah, I don't think I'd really have any ill will toward this if it was a movie.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I'd like it, but I feel like it would all be so much more palatable. This is just, they've had to do so many different things to stretch it out to 6 episodes. And the episodes, they're like 25 minutes, 30 minutes, I guess, sometimes. But, yeah.
I think the one thing this season has done well, I have no idea who the next Santa is going to be. Is it supposed to be Cal? You tell me. It seems like he has magic, and sometimes he seems good at it, sometimes not. Is it going to be Sandra with her magic? Could it be Mad Santa? Is he just going to blow everyone away with the Santa Blaster? I don't know. It's just could be anything at this point. So.
I will say, like, I felt like very early on they were very obviously setting up the Sandra thing. And I still think they are setting it up. But if they do that, they're going to have to cover a lot in this last 30 minutes. No, I wouldn't put it past this show. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past the show to 2 lines of dialogue and it's done. But that would leave. Yeah, so I guess if you had to predict right now, who would you say?
Boy, oh boy. I mean, I originally thought, hey, maybe Chris is going to end up in this role some way or another, but
He
there's
doesn't
no
have
way now.
anything to do in this show. It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I'd just be like picking a character without any real reason. So,
all right, I'll say Sandra, but Scott sticks around as like a consigliere.
yeah.
Yeah.
Chairman of the board.
Yeah. So
Emeritus. Santa Emeritus.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. It's good stuff.
I've been waiting for these polls about
Sure.
reindeer for a long time, so why don't you go ahead and get into those?
Yeah. These are micro polls, so
Best kind of polls.
best kind of polls.
You ask me.
Jordan, I asked the audience of Twitter, aka our followers, which reindeer? Boy, we have been sharp today. Which reindeer is your favorite? 9 total votes. 0% said Prancer.
Ooh.
11.1% said Blitzen. And we have a 2-way tie for first. Comet and Donner each receiving 44.4%.
If you put Rudolph in there.
Well, that's why I didn't.
Yeah. I mean,
Of those 4, who's your favorite? Mine's Donner.
Blitzen.
He's kind of mean to his kid in the special. He's funny.
What about Chet?
Chet. Yeah, Chet. That's another one that just swings the pole. Yeah. Which reindeer is your least favorite? 6 total votes. So, not as people would rather be positive about reindeers than negative.
That's good.
That's
Yeah.
what I've learned today. 16.7% said Cupid. 16.7% said Rudolph. 33.3% said Vixen. 33.3% said Dancer. My least favorite, Rudolph. Annoying.
He gets too much press.
He does get a lot of play, you know?
Too much.
Yeah. I mean, he's only useful if, like, it's a stormy Christmas.
Hot take.
I mean, every other year it doesn't really serve much. Follow us on Twitter at Home and Podcast. We did get something else from someone, and that was at Saginaw Cheese. He's been with us for a long time, and he said that reading Shit Stew has been the highlight of his morning. And I think that's in a reference to Bit of Wisdom, possibly.
Beats me.
Maybe
Hey,
not, but
Saginaw
it's-
Cheese, will you elaborate on that?
Yeah, sometimes 2 sentences is better than one. Cheese. That's all I got.
All right. Well, with that, next week's episode,
Yeah, I saw this.
season finale.
Let's hope series.
You just never can tell. Wanga Bonga Longa?
Wanga banga langa.
That's how you'd say it? I don't know.
Either one. When Mad Santa and Olga finally breach the North Pole, Santa and the elves must defend their home.
Ooh.
Shocking synopsis. Yeah, hey, we'll have fun with it. I guess it's already out, but we're way
We'll
behind.
get there.
I haven't been. Don't worry, it hasn't been spoiled to me out and about in public, so
No.
that's been good.
Nobody's been tweeting
Although
about it.
I'm traveling to Philadelphia for work for the next couple days, so I hope that like at the airport or just walking around.
It'll be in the air.
I know I'm a little worried because that is a big Santa Claus's city.
Well, just put those earplugs in, man.
I sure will. Well, hey, Jordan, thank you for joining me. Listeners, thank you for listening, and I guess I should say, take care.
Take care, everybody.